Hi everyone, Judy Tuttle here from Tuttle Up Stamping. I'm here today for our craft along event. I'm so excited to get these cards started with you because they are stinking gorgeous, let me tell you. Thank you to everyone who bought the craft along kit ahead of time. I hope that you have gotten started by cutting some of your DSP ahead of time so that it saves us a little time. But the cool thing about the craft along is that you have the kit in your hand and you can watch this video and you can start and stop it on replay as many times as you want. Okay, so take it at your own pace. If you feel like I'm going too fast, realize I'm just trying to save time for people out there. But I want you to know that you can go at your own pace, okay? So, before we get started, there's just a few things I need to chat with you about, news. First of all, keep in mind that I'm doing a casing through the catalog event this whole month of June. I will not case a card right now during the craft along, but I'm going to come back later this afternoon and do a card with you guys. Okay, so come back for that. It's a very simple card. Then today started our Sweet BOGO sale. And for every suite you buy, you can get another suite for half off. But it's not only that. For every product that comes from a suite, you can get a product that comes from a suite at half price. Now, keep in mind, if there's suites that you want, you probably should put them all in one order. Otherwise, if you do two suites in an order, here, let me get rid of this placket here. If you do two suites in an order and then you add two other things that are less expensive, they're going to apply the 50% off to the two cheaper items. So I'm just educating you a bit that if I were going to try to place an order for suite products, that I would put the suites in one order and then any other things I might want out of a suite in another order. That's exactly what I did this morning. I wanted a couple of new suites that they have just released for early orders for demonstrators. And so I put that in an order first, and then I put other things that I wanted from any other suites in a separate order so that I get the most discount for my money. If you have any questions about that, please reach out to me. I'd be happy to help you. Okay. Next, I have a sunrise sailing class coming up on June the 12th. You can get it in person or to go. You will make 4 cards and receive the product for all 4 of those cards. You can get it in person or to go. So the best way to find out about that is to be a part of my email list where I share all the registration information, but I will also put it in the description after this video is over so that you can find out more information. Look at how beautiful is that. Great cards for men, especially for retirement, for moving on, any of those things. So I hope you'll take advantage of the Sunrise Sailing bundle class. It has a hybrid embossing folder too, and you guys know how much I love those. So, okay, the next class after that is the Cornflower Celebration Bundle. Look at all the texture in this coneflower here. Isn't that fun? This will be a fun class on June the 25th. Also in person or to go. So all the information about that will be, hi Carolyn, I'm glad you're here. Carolyn's one of my craft along people, so I'm glad she's here to watch me today. And then last but not least, I want to go ahead and advertise our next craft along is going to be in person or via Facebook Live. Facebook Live, it'll be June the 30th. You're going to get a half a pack of the bright 6x6 paper. You're going to get a whole package of the basic essentials baker's twine and a whole package of the neutral matte dots. We're going to have 3 cards, 2 each of those, so 6 cards altogether, and a 3D item for you, just like we are going to have today. So the registration for the next craft along is in the email today, and I will also put it up in the description after this video is over. Okay, so let's get started. Let's tuddle up and let's get started. So I just want to show you what everyone who joined the craft along got. They got, let me move to my hands here so you can see it. They got a half a pack of this designer series paper. I don't know why it's looking so dark today. I'm not sure about that. Let me move this over a tiny bit here. Maybe that'll help. Okay, got a half a pack of that beautiful Impressions Abloom designer series paper. They got 2 rolls of ribbon, the Misty Moonlight and the Basic White. This is called a beginner's ribbon pack. I don't know why, but there you go. And a whole package of these beautiful pink strawberry slush and pretty and pink gems. Look how those are so pretty. I fell in love with these as soon as I saw them. And then they also get a make and take to make all the projects that we're making today. If they wanted to stamp along and die cut with me, you needed the Impressions Abloom bundle. This is so gorgeous. I can't wait for you guys to see how pretty these cards are, because I think you're just really going to fall in love with them. I feel like I need to bring my camera up just a tad here, so bear with me just a second. It's a little too close to my hands there, I think. Hi, Imelda. Glad you're here too. Imelda got the craft along as well. So, okay, so here we go. Now, like I said before, I have already cut and die cut all my things for me, or else we would be here all day, right? But, oh, I should also say, they also got a full color PDF of all the instructions. So everybody who buys the craft along gets all the instructions. So, and you know, we do a pretty good job. There's one little mistake in it that I need to talk to you about today, but it's an easy one to fix, so no problem. All right, so here we go. Let's get started right in with our first card. Here is, gosh, why does everything seem a little wonky today? I don't know why. Wonky donkey, right? There we go. Okay, so here's our first card. Maybe I just need to zoom out a little bit. Maybe that's the problem. That helps. I don't want you guys to be annoyed with the fact that everything is a little sideways. So let's try to fix that as best we can right there. Okay, that's a little too much, right? That was slow motion there on my camera. Okay, here we go. We're just going to call that right there good, okay? All right, so here's our first card. And I want you to see the detail in these dies. It's just, they're so pretty. We have an embossing folder here that is called the, let me make Pressed Flowers embossing folder. And it's just so pretty. And then this is a easel card. So look how pretty that is, how that sits up like that. Thanks so very much. And a great display item for anybody that you give it to, okay? So let's get started. We are starting out with, let me grab my pieces here. Pull these all out of here. I need that. All right. Oh, one more thing I gave him too. Gosh, we gave him a lot in this one. We also gave him a half a pack of these gold foil labels. Okay, so we're going to use those today too. Not on this first card, but pretty soon. Okay, I need that piece. Here we go. I have pre-cut those. Have some DSP here. It's so pretty. Okay, here we go. Envelopes were included as well. So they get a lot of value for their money here. Okay, so here is my card base. It is 4 1/4 by 11, scored in 2 places, 5 1/2 and 2 1/8. That's going to create that easel here for our card so that it'll sit up like that, okay? All right, let's go ahead and do the inside and then we'll just be done with that. Okay, so for the inside here, I have a piece of basic white that I'm going to just adhere to the bottom. I have a piece of the DSP that is cut 1 inch by 4 inches. All right, why do I still feel like I'm like super close here? Let me try to adjust just one more time. Sometimes my camera easel here wants to like drip on me. I don't know what that is all about, but droop, not drip, droop. Okay, there we go. Maybe that's a little bit better. Okay, so I'm going to take this DSP and I'm going to add it right here to the bottom edge of our inside white piece, okay? There we go. Add a little liquid glue to that. I'm going to adhere it right here to this bottom edge, right like that. And then I have a black, I'm going to hold this up, black textured frames rectangle that I have pre-cut. And we're going to emboss this with some white embossing powder. So I'm going to grab my Versamark ink. I'm going to grab the words thanks so very much. Okay, so I have my thanks here. I think I need to pull out my so very much, but I'm going to add some Versamark right there. There we go. And then right underneath that, I am going to write so very much. Not write, stamp, right? Let me grab a clear block here. So very much. I'm going to add it, Versamark. And then right underneath that thanks, I'm going to stamp so very much. I'm going to grab my white embossing powder here. There we go. And I'm going to heat emboss this with my embossing gun that I have right here next to me. I'm going to put all of this away because I'm not going to need that anymore. So, have my heat gun. Hit this. And you guys will be able to see that it's going to change from dull to shiny. And sometimes, I don't know why it is. I don't know if it's the ink and the black or what. Sometimes it takes just a little bit longer on black cardstock. I have discovered anyway. Okay. And you want every single part to look a little bit shiny there. Okay, there we go. This is going to actually get popped up here on this panel. Why don't we go ahead and put the white panel on the inside real quick. There we go. I'm going to grab my dimensionals and I'm going to pop up the thanks so very much because I want it to hold the lip of this easel card so that it'll stay up, okay? So I'm going to pull these off. And this is going to go right here, kind of in between the white and the DSP, right like that. Okay, so now I have the inside completely done and I can put this away for just a moment. Now I'm going to work with this other panel. I have another panel of strawberry slush here that is cut 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And I'm going to add my DSP right to the front of that panel, okay? And that way it's going to give it a foundation, okay, to hold on to. So we're going to add the DSP to this panel right here. Isn't this paper so pretty? I just love it. I'm going to chintz it over a little bit. That's the good thing about liquid glue is you can straighten it out if you don't have it perfectly straight. And then this is my embossed oval that I've already embossed with that Painted Petals embossing folder, okay? I'm going to pop this up on the front, but before I do that, I'm going to add some pieces. And I have adhesive sheets on the back of my, this is Shaded Spruce is the color of this stem. Gosh, guys, I feel like things are kind of dark, and I'm trying to figure out why. But hi, Kathy. I'm doing my craft along from this month using the Impressions of Bloom. So this suite, if you add this suite plus another suite to your order this month, then you will get one of them for half price, okay? So then I've cut a couple of leaves as well out of that Shaded Spruce. Again, I put adhesive sheets on the back of mine just to make them easier. You don't have to. I mean, you're going to see in my other cards that I don't necessarily do that. I think I had already adhesive sheets on the back of a Shaded Spruce cardstock piece in my stash, and I thought, oh, that's convenient. I'll just use that, okay? So, and then this is going to go right here. There we go. Now, what you're going to do is you're going to take a piece of basic white. We're going to pull out that Darling Duckling and Strawberry Slush ink pads, and you're going to stamp a large balloon. I love Strawberry Slush, don't you guys? Might be better if I even do this on a foam mat, just so we get a really good stamped image for this solid image of the flower. There we go. And then I'm going to do the same thing with this smaller bloom. Right there. And then I'm going to grab my insides. They give you the inside of the flower. And I'm going to use Darling Duckling for the inside. And so we get a smaller inside right there. And we get a larger inside right here. There we go. Then what you would do at home, is you would grab your dies, okay? Now, we have the large bloom die right here. So you line it all up the way it should go, which is right like that. Then the detail piece kind of fits right inside that outline piece. And then you have an inside piece that has some texture to it. I'm going to kind of show that to you right there. And that will fit right inside that hole. This is engineered very well. So that's how you would put that all together. You would do the same thing with the small die. Okay. Right there. And right here. And then this small piece right on the inside right there. Well, I flipped it over backwards. Let me flip it the right way here. Okay, so this is how you would put it all through the die cutting machine. You're going to layer all these pieces on top of each other. And these little middle pieces, I'm not going to lie, they're kind of a booger. They want to slide around. There we go. So you would line up all these pieces just like that. I've done it multiple times. I don't know why I'm making it look so hard right now. Okay, and then I would put tear and tape on top of that. Okay, run it through, and then this is the result. Look at all the texture on that. So you get the outline, but you get all the texture on those petals and on that inside piece as well. Okay, so let me put all these pieces back over here so we don't lose them. And I just put those inside die pieces. I'll show you here on my magnet board. I buy these magnet boards at Stamp and Storage. They're a lifesaver. And you can see that those pieces just all fit together. So it's very easy to kind of store these together. I know, it's very pretty, right, Kathy? All right, so I'm going to pretend like I ran that through my die cutting machine, and then here's my flower. And I'm going to add some dimensionals to the back side of that. I'm really excited for you guys to see our 3D project for this month. It's super fun. You may have seen it somewhere else. I don't know. I might be one of my favorite 3D things I've ever done. So there we go. There's my bloom on the front. I'm going to grab some white ribbon here, and I'm going to cut off just a tiny little piece of the white ribbon you were given, and I'm going to tie it in a knot, which will make some of you very happy out there. You guys know I love my bows, but this time we're just tying it in a knot. I'm going to add a die. I'm going to add a glue dot to the back of this. Good night, Agnes, Irene, Fred. I had not the best night of sleep last night. I had weird dreams all night long. I had to get up and go to the bathroom multiple times, which is probably TMI, right? But I just wasn't settled. So I'm feeling the results of that today. Okay, so there we go. Now I get to find these beautiful pink gems, and I am just going to scatter these on the front wherever I want, and you can mix and match them. You can put a dark one on here, and then maybe a lighter one down in this corner, and maybe I don't know, another dark one over here, maybe like that. So pretty, right? Now this is going to get popped up right on the front of this panel right here, and I'm going to use dimensionals for that. And then we're very close to being done with this first card. All right. Now the trick here is to only adhere this panel to this bottom part of our card right here. Okay. So trying to figure out why is it so dark right here? I'm not sure. All right, I need to get over it, right? Just shut up, Judy, and keep going. All right, so I'm going to put liquid glue right here, just on this bottom panel, okay? Reason for liquid glue is that this is an exact fit, so I want to make sure I have time to wiggle it around, get it super straight. Shore up those corners really well there. Okay. And then when I lift it, because I've only added glue to that bottom half, it is going to just sit right there on that. Thank you so much that we have lifted up on dimensionals. So that's how this all works together. So that is card number 1. Yay, Brenda's here. Good, Brenda. Yes, this was really the easiest of the 3 cards. So, and remember, when you get a craft along, you get the make and take products to do 2 of each of these cards, okay? So this will go like that. I'm going to put this back in its place and straighten up just a tad before I start my next card. I hope you guys like that one. I think this paper is just gorgeous, and we're going to use lots of different pieces of it today, so you're really going to get the full effect of what this DSP looks like, I think. So let me clean off the stamps I used. Make sure they're good and ready for the next round. Okay. All right. So our next card kind of looks like a fun fold, but it's not. I love how Jeannie designed these to look like sunflowers. Aren't those so pretty? I love this card. This uses that Spotlight on Nature die. We pre-cut that for everybody who got the craft along. We pre-embossed with the embossing folder too, and then cut all the parts out for them. So except for the dies, right? And then look at the inside of this. That's what I really love, is how the little flowers just sitting on top of the eye of I appreciate you. I think it's a beautiful card. Okay, so let's get started. You have your card base, right? Right here, and it is peach pie, I believe. Maybe it's Timid Tiger. Let me see. It is Timid Tiger. It's a little dark, too dark to be peach pie. And I'm going to shore my edges up just a little bit here with my bone folder. That's why that bone folder comes in handy, right? So I like to straighten the edges and then just take my bone folder and get a really good crease right there. Okay, we have a piece of Daffodil Delight that we have already embossed for you. Hi, Laura. Hi, Kim. Thanks for coming. I think all these cards are beautiful. And the fun fold we have for you today is just spectacular. So, okay, so there we go. I am just annoyed by the lack of light here. I'm not sure what's going on. So we're going to have to work on that. Okay, so I'm going to take my embossed piece here and add it right there to the front of my card. Here we go. Okay, it's going to go right on the front of my card, right like that. So let me grab my liquid glue again. You can use any kind of glue you want. And you guys know I have a love-hate with this liquid glue. When it works, it's great. When it gets clogged up, it's the most annoying, right? Okay, so I'm going to add this right to the top of that Timid Tiger. Okay, then I have another piece of Timid Tiger that is 2 1/4 by 5 1/4, and it's going to go right down the middle here. And I'm going to kind of try to just get it nice and even here in the middle, right like that. Okay, so let me grab my liquid glue for this. You know what? Before I do that, I caught myself. I want to put my DSP on here because if it's too long, I want to be able to cut it off before I add it. So let's add our DSP. 2 inches by 5 1/4 inches is what this was cut at. And this is that piece that looks like the sunflowers a little bit more. They have brown centers. Okay, let me get that good and straight for us right there. And you know what? It's gonna be pretty even there. Okay, so good. Now this piece is gonna get glued flat right here to the front of that card. There's a tiny little edge. Let me cut that off. Okay, so I'm gonna glue this flat right here to the front of this card base, and I'm going to get it even on both sides as best I can. There we go. All right. Next, I'm grabbing that white ribbon and I'm just going to zigzag it onto the front of my card here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my seal. I'm just going to add some seal right here to the center of this panel, and I'm just going to zigzag my ribbon. So I've got my ribbon here. It's going to go like this. I'm going to turn it. It's going to go like that. I'm going to turn it again. It's going to go like that, and I'm just going to cut it off right on this edge right here. Okay, it's going to zigzag right like that. Now I have my Spotlight on Nature die right here, and I'm going to stamp an early espresso. I'm going to grab my foam mat here because when you're using photopolymer, it's a good idea to have a foam mat underneath you, unless you're stamping directly onto the glass mat, and then you have you don't have to worry about it. But I have my grid paper here, so I want to make sure I get a really good stamp. I'm going to grab my thanks. I have early espresso ink, and I'm going to stamp thanks right there. Okay. Then for being there is a separate stamp. I'm going to grab my early espresso, and I'm going to stamp for being there right underneath my thanks. Let me get my head in here a little bit so I can get it straight as I can get it. There we go. Perfection. All right. And now I'm going to build up my flowers on top of this. So my flowers, I have two of the kind of daisy looking cutouts. I did the outside and then the inside. Okay. I also have one cut from Peach Pie right here. I also have some centers, and I have two larger size centers, and I have one of the smaller centers. And these are cut with the outside and the inside. I don't know if you can see the detail on that, but those little dots are on the inside. So that one's going to go in front of that. And then I have a couple of leaves here in garden green. There we go. I'm going to pull out those little flowers here in just a minute. All right. So I'm going to just start layering this on here. Okay. So I've got my garden green leaf. And I'm going to add a little glue and add it kind of about right there. Okay. And then I've got my other one over here that I'm going to add right here, going off a little bit off my circle just to add a little dimension to it right there. Okay. Like it's not all, stuck onto the circle exactly. I'm adding my center to my Peach Pie bloom here. And I'm going to add a dimensional to the back side of that. Right here, kind of high above those two leaves. Do the same thing with my two sunflowers here. Maybe more cone flowers. I don't know. They're pretty yellow flowers with brown centers. Lazy Susans, or is that what they're called? Lazy Susans? I don't know. Could be that as well. All right, so I'm going to put a dimensional on the back side of each of these. them's going to go kind of right there. One of them's going to go a little bit higher over here on this other side, like that. Okay, so that is the center of my card. Now, one more thing is that I have cut, well, let's go ahead and put this on the center here. Then we'll work on the inside. So this is going to get popped up right here on the center of this card with some dimensionals. I think this is a very pretty card. And like I said at the beginning, I especially love the inside of it. Because of the stamping that's on the inside. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to add this right here over that ribbon, so that ribbon just peeks out on either side. There we go. And then I have cut a whole bunch of these little flowers. So part of the dies are these little flowers right here. And they come in groups of 3, but they all cut out individually. So I cut some of them out in the Timid Tiger, and I cut some of them out in the Peach Pie. I'm just going to try to dump some of these out here. Okay, and I put 5 on the front. So I'm going to grab my liquid glue right here. And you just need a tiny dot, you guys. Just the littlest dot. I'm going to put a dot there, a dot there, a dot there, a dot here, and a dot over here, I think. And then all I'm going to do is set these flowers on top of those dots. Okay? You could use a take your pick tool if you wanted to, and you can mix and match the flowers between the Timid Tiger ones and the Peach Pie ones. Or you can do it all what color you want. It's totally up to you. Thought that felt a little thick. There were 2 stuck together there. Here's another one. Right there. Pretty, huh? All right, so now I'm going to grab my gems, and now I'm focusing on these that are just a little, I don't know if you can see it that way here. I'll put something behind it here. Right here. These parts of these gems are a little more clear with a little gold in them. Aren't they so pretty? Aren't they so pretty, Imelda? I knew you would love them. I knew you would. Okay, so I'm just going to scatter some of these dots here around, and you can put them wherever you want. I'm not sure I got the adhesive on that one, so let me. I'm going to put another one up here. Okay, there we go. 1, 2, 3. I could do a couple more here. Maybe put one down here. 2, 3, 4, and maybe one over here on this side. What do you think? There we go. Okay, so that is the front of our card. Now let's do our inside. For the inside, we have a basic white panel right here, and we're going to do some stamping on it. Okay, so at the very bottom, I'm going to stamp in Early Espresso. I appreciate you. I'm going to stamp it towards the bottom right here. There we go. And then I'm going to put a little dot of glue right where the eye is on Appreciate. There we go. And I'm going to add one of these little flowers to the top of that eye right there. Cute, huh? I think that's a nice little fun touch. All right, and then I'm going to grab my garden green here, and I'm going to stamp a stem right there. I'm going to stamp 2 leaves. There we go. I'm going to stamp, let's see, Darling Duckling, or I could use, let's use Daffodil Delight, since I use Daffodil Delight for most of everything else. The outside kind of daisy image in Daffodil Delight, right there. Pretty, huh? And then the inside kind of detail part, we stamped in Pecan Pie. Are you guys getting nervous that I have all these ink pads open? I'm getting nervous. I'm going to shut them. Detailed part here is going to go right on the inside of that. And we got to kind of twirl it around here. Let me look at this for a second. Yep, I've got it right. Twirl it around so the detail fits inside those. Isn't that pretty? I love that. And then the inside using Early Espresso right here. Got a little off. Let me move it up a little bit. There we go. Okay. Then that will go in the inside of this card. And we'll be done with card number 2. Oh, wrong card. That was my original. Here we go. Fun. I love it. I hope you guys love it as much as I do. Okay, so that is card number 2. Thanks for being there. And inside the sunflower, or the Lazy Susan, or what do they call that? Vine, the Susan vine. I don't know what it's called. I shouldn't try to remember the names of flowers. It's not my strong suit. Okay. The next one, are you guys ready for this? Wowza is what you're going to say when you see this card. Guess who designed this one? Not me, my friend Monica. She's incredible. And you know, we always collaborate on these projects together. Okay, so here's our next card. You guys, look at this. I want you to look at how this opens. Isn't that awesome? And it sits up like that. Isn't that the coolest thing? So I'm excited to get started with this. The most work on this is really die cutting all these pieces out, right? But once you have them all die cut out, it really goes together pretty quickly. All right. So we are starting out with our card base that is 5.5 by 8.5. And it is scored at 2 1/8 and 6 3/8. Okay, this definitely needs a bone folding right here. Okay, right like that. Then you need 4 panels of the Designer Series paper. This is the paper we're using, 1, 2, 3, 4. And they're going to go on the fronts and the insides of each of these panels. But we don't want to do the insides yet. What we do want to do is cut a piece of this pool party / cloud cover DSP. It's the back side of this one with the ferns. Isn't that paper gorgeous? This piece is going to go right inside right here. Okay, it's cut 4 by 5 1/4. So we're going to add some seal to this. And of course, it's going to run out right at the right time. Um, it's going to go right on the inside of our card right there. Okay, then you should have two hinges. One, I should have another one here. And each of these are cut 1 inch by 3 3/4 inches, I think. Maybe 1 inch by 3 1/4. Let me look here. I know, it's gorgeous, Kathy. It's a gorgeous fun fold. Okay, so let's see. The hinges are 1 by 3 3/4. So I was right. Now what you're going to do is you're going to fold them in half. You're going to score them down the middle on the 1 inch side right here. And we're going to add some liquid glue to one side of the hinge here. Okay. And this is going to get attached right to this side, and you want the score line to be next to the edge. Okay, then we're going to do this so it'll look like this when it's opened up. Okay, but you're going to attach it so that the hinge, the score line is even with the edge. And then we're going to do the exact same thing on the other side. There we go. So we have hinges on both sides. Okay, so now that we have the hinges on both sides of our flaps here, we can add our DSP to those inside flaps. That's going to kind of cover up those hinges right there. All right. So I'm going to, again, grab my liquid glue. So our next craft along is using the Notes and Totes bundle. And it'll be a super fun one. We're including half a pack of the Brights DSP. We're including a whole package of the Basic Essentials baker's twine, which gives you 5 colors of baker's twine. This one seems a little long to me. Let me see if I can cut an edge off of it here without making too big of a mess. There we go. It's just like the tiniest bit too long. There we go. It's going to go right there. All right. Then I'm going to do the same thing to these outside flaps. I'm going to put my Designer Series paper It's doing one at a time here on either side of the outside. There we go. All right, so there's my card base. It's all put together. So now what I need to work on is the inside Z-fold, right? So this is what the inside looks like right now. This is what the outside, and you have these 2 hinges right here, okay? Next, I have a piece of basic white, and we have scored this at, here's the accordion, hang on. It is 4 1/8 by 10 5/8. 4 1/8 by 10 5/8, and we have scored it at 2 1/8, 4 1/4, 6 3/8, and 8 1/2. Okay. And I've already pre-scored all that for our craft along people, as I would for anybody that wants to get this class to go this week with a $50 order. I would have it all scored and ready for you to go. Okay. There we go. So I'm just zigzagging this in. Now, the way we want this, and I did this backwards, is you want this center panel, you want it to look like this. Okay, so I don't know what shape you would call that, but you want it to be like a hat, maybe. Okay, so panel, panel, flat, panel, panel. Okay, so on these pieces, you're going to have 2 of these cut to 2 inches by 4 inches. So these are going to go on the inside here. I'm just making sure I have it in the right spot. One is going to go right here next to that center panel. And then another one, let me pull it out here, is going to go here on this other side right here. Okay? And I know that you guys at home that are crafting along, you're like, whoa, whoa, whoa. It's okay. If you want to just watch for right now and then do it again on your own on replay where you can start and stop it, that's awesome too. Okay, so now the word thanks is going to go right here at the bottom. And we're doing that in Misty Moonlight. So let's grab Misty Moonlight. We're going to do thanks right here on the bottom edge of that middle panel. Okay? Now, while we have this Misty Moonlight out, let's take out that piece right here that is cut 5/8 by 3 1/4. 5/8 by 3 1/4. And since I have my Misty Moonlight out, the only stamping I need to do still is I Appreciate You. And we're going to do that in Misty Moonlight as well. Right on that 5/8 inch by 3 1/4 inch panel. I appreciate you. I got a little high there. Let's try that again. I want to appreciate that my eye is inside my sentiment. There we go. That's better. I love that there's 2 sides to every piece of paper, right? Okay, so I have all my stamping done. I'm not going to need to stamp anything else. Everything else is going to be die cuts. Okay, so what you're going to do with this white panel is you're going to fold everything in, right, like that. And you want to attach that center panel, this center panel right here, you want to attach it to the center of this center panel right here. Okay, now it can be a little bit off and it'll be okay. It'll still fold, but you do want to try to get it as centered and straight as you possibly can. So I'm going to pull it towards me here real quick and make sure that I press that down really well. Okay, right like that. Okay, now there's one little adjustment you need to make on your PDF for this. It says to brush on ink on the left panel, but you really need to brush on the ink on the right panel. It named the wrong side, okay? So the right panel right here, we're going to grab a blending brush and our Pool Party ink. And we're going to brush on some Pool Party right here on this side right here. Just going to add a little color and texture right there. Okay? Now we're going to start adding die cut pieces. And I've already die cut my pieces ahead of time to save us some time here. Okay, so I'm going to pull out my little ephemera there. Look at all these pieces here. There's a whole bunch of them. All right, Oh, looks like I got a little bit of ink on my embossed piece, but we're going to be okay with that. Okay, so on this right hand side panel, I've cut this piece out of garden green from my die set. It's going to go right here, kind of at an angle. So I'm going to add some liquid glue to the back of this. And one more little dot up here. And it's going to go right there, like that. I'm going to add cut from Strawberry Slush, the smallest bloom, and I'm going to add a little piece of Darling Duckling for the center that has already been die cut. And look at all the texture on this, you guys. Isn't that fun? So this center piece is going to go in the center of this smaller Strawberry Slush bloom. Right there. Okay, got a little too much glue there. And we're going to add a dimensional to the back side of this. And it's going to get popped up right here on that leaf. Okay. Then I've cut several of these little flowers from that Pretty in Pink. Okay. I think I have a bunch. I have way more than I need. I think I cut 6 and I only need 3. So we're going to attach these. I have 2 that are stuck together here. There we go. I'm going to attach these just kind of randomly on this panel right here. So I'm going to do just what I did last time. I'm going to add several dots, a couple of dots up here. And I'm just going to place those little blooms right on top of those dots, okay? So I don't know if you guys remember yesterday me telling you that I was making banana bread. Last week I tried to make banana bread. I've made banana bread for 100 years. Like, I have a recipe that I've used over and over and over again, and I love it. My family loves it, which is another reason why I love to make it. Last week, I doubled the recipe. I thought, I'm going to make 2 loaves because I have all these bananas, right? And you're not going to believe what I did. I forgot to add the baking soda to the recipe. And I was so upset because I'm like, gosh, I do this all the time. How could I forget to add the baking soda? And let's just say it did not turn out well. I could tell immediately something was wrong. Okay, there. So I've scattered just a few of those little gems on there. So that's what that panel right there will look like. So, you know, Judy, bound and determined not to let it get the best of her. She had to redo it yesterday. So I redid it. And let me tell you, my husband was so happy that he said, I'm having banana bread for breakfast and I'm coming home at lunch and I'm going to have banana bread for lunch. So I think that made him happy. What do you think? Okay, so now here's the tricky part. I'm going to show you how to add the hinges to your card. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to lay this flat right here. You see how that's laid flat? And you're going to put glue. Look at, I want you to really pay attention how I'm doing this, okay? So here's my hinge right here. I'm laying it flat right here. I'm going to add some glue right onto that hinge right there. Okay? Right like that. And then I'm going to take this flap right here and I'm going to press it onto that hinge, okay? I'm going to press it on right there. I think I just pulled off one of my pink flowers. Let me try to stick another one on that spot. There we go. Okay? So now when this opens, it's going to open like that. Okay? I hope that made sense. Okay? Now I'm going to do the same thing to this other side. I'm going to take this side. I'm going to lay that hinge flat right there. I'm going to add glue just to this piece. So that hinge part is pointing in, okay? The score line is right next to this edge right here. I'm going to take this panel that has nothing on it yet, and I'm going to lay it flat right against that hinge and just kind of hold it in place. And that is going to allow that to open like that. Isn't that cool? Do you like that? So fun. Okay, now I'm going to build my front panel here. I have a panel that I have already run through my Painted Petals embossing folder that comes in this way. I've got a little bit of Misty Moonlight ink on it, but I'm not going to let that get the best of me. Okay, so now in your ephemera pack, we called for this round piece right here. But then we realized you only get one round piece, so you can't do two cards. So I'm going to show you that on my original one here, I just pulled out that hexagon piece and I used that. You could use any label you want behind it, okay? It doesn't have to be round. It could even be some of the rectangular ones if you wanted. It's just to give a little hint of gold and something for that flower to sit on top of, okay? So I'm going to add some dimensionals to the back of this circular label here. And I like to overlap my dimensionals kind of on that edge where that gold can come apart from the center, and then it'll just kind of hold it all together right there. So here is where that gold frame can come apart if you want it to. The dimensionals, if you lay them on there right, will just kind of hold that all together. So I'm going to okay, I'm going to tell you that for our last project, you're going to want to grab a piece of 12 by 12 paper, okay? If you want to kind of follow along with our 3D project, you need a piece of 12 by 12 DSP, okay? All right, so here's my circle. Now I'm going to grab my stem that has the two heads on it here, and this is cut out of garden green. And I'm going to add some liquid glue to the back side here. So it will kind of hold in place right like that. Okay. Now, for this little knob right here that's hanging off the edge, I don't know what else to call it, I'm going to grab a dimensional and I'm going to put one underneath it, and you're going to see why in just a second. I want that to have some support underneath it, right like that. Okay, and then I've already cut out my flowers here. I've cut out a large bloom from Pretty and Pink and a large center from Darling Duckling. Those are going to go together there. I've cut out a medium bloom from Strawberry Slush with a smaller circle out of Darling Duckling, okay? I've cut out this half of a petal, quarter of a flower from Crushed Curry, and then I have a couple of leaves here as well, okay? So I'm gonna add my leaves on with, I'm gonna use liquid glue. You could also use adhesive sheets if you wanted to. And have that leaf go right up there like that. I'm gonna have another one kind of go down this way like that. I'm gonna add glue to my center. And then I want to pop this up right here. I just put that center on backwards. There we go. I want to pop this up right here on top of that green. So I'm going to add a little bit of glue to that, and it's going to go right there. Okay, my Strawberry Slush. going to put that smaller center on it. Grab a dimensional. And add it right to this side over here of that larger flower. This piece here is going to tuck right underneath that. Look, it's going to cover right up where that ink was for that Misty Moonlight. That was a lucky thing for me there. Not that anyone would care probably, but there we go. That's going to tuck right underneath those two flowers right there. Just kind of pop up from the back. All right. Isn't this so pretty? Chelsea, you're the best. Thank you. Okay, so now I appreciate you. So I'm grabbing my Misty Moonlight ribbon here, and I'm doing a faux bow. And this comes from that duo pack. And I'm just gonna kind of make a fake bow, right? And it's just going to set right here on top of that stem. So I said just a minute ago, if you want to do my 3D project with me, grab a piece of 12 by 12 paper. If you got the craft along, I already scored it exactly like you needed it scored. So you don't have to worry about that part. All right, so here's my faux bow right there. I'm going to pull this piece down just a little bit like that so it shows just a little bit more. And then I'm going to take my I Appreciate You and pop it up right on top of that tear and tape that I put that faux bow on the center with, okay? So I'm going to add some dimensionals on the side that I messed up. And isn't this fun? This is a really cool fun fold here. Okay, so I Appreciate You is going to go right over that faux bow, right like that. And now this piece can be adhered right here on top of this panel. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to close it all up, because when I put this on here, I want it to be kind of centered on the front of that card. Now this card definitely has some thickness to it, right? This is not one of those one stamp cards that you send in the mail. You're going to need multiple stamps on this, okay? So I'm going to add some liquid glue to this front panel right here. How much do you guys love this? Is this a card that you're like, oh, I could do that? Which is why you do a craft along, right? Or is this a card that would be like, I would never try that at home? I love it. I think it's just a remarkable card to make. So, okay. So now I'm going to scatter on some gems and then we'll be done with this one. How fun is that? Okay. So you can put your gems anywhere you want. I put one right here on this label. Just scatter some around, you guys. Everybody kind of gets all worked up about where the gems are, and I'm like, you know what? It's just to add a little bling and color to your card and some sparkle, right? So, I mean, I don't like mine like right on top of each other, but just sprinkle them around. And then I already have some of those on the inside. So here's our card. Isn't it amazing? And then it'll sit up like that. You guys know I like to have cards that people can show off to other people. So there is our fun fold for this month's craft along. And we have one more project. You're going to love it. And those people who got the craft along got the little surprises to go inside as well, which is really fun too. Okay. So here's our third project. It is called a pocket envelope, okay? A pocket envelope. And it is made from one sheet of designer series paper. So here's our pocket envelope. And what I did is I stuck a little gel mask kind of right in here. Okay, it'll go further down. I know it does because I had it in there before. A little gel mask, and then we had some gum. Where did I put my gum? Here it is. little gum will fit right in this pocket right here. Isn't that cute? And then the cards can go right in the top right like that. Isn't this so fun? Okay, I'm going to show you how to do it. Really, and you can do it with any piece of 12 by 12 designer series paper. Okay, so you're going to grab your piece of designer series paper, and I already scored it for my people who got it to go because it wouldn't have fit in the envelope if I hadn't. So here's our 12 by 12 piece of paper. Okay, now if your paper has a direction to it, you want the direction going this way. Okay, if the flowers have a direction, you would want the paper going vertical like this. Okay, then on these edges right here and right here, you're scoring it at 3 1/4 on both sides. Okay, 3 1/4 on both sides. And then across the bottom here, you're scoring it at 3 3/4. Okay, so 3 1/4 on each side, 3 3/4 across the bottom. Okay, and then you're going to fold in these 3 1/4 inch sides. Fold in the 3 1/4 inch sides, right like that. And up here at the top, you're going to take that corner, you're going to do a little origami fold so that this top edge is even with this side edge right here. So you're just going to fold it over right like that. Use your bone folder to give you a really good score on it, right like that. Okay, then you're going to do the same thing to this other side. You're going to take the corner, you're going to fold it down so that it's evened with the score on the right side. And you're going to use your bone folder, and you're just going to bone fold that down really well. Okay, so now that that is all folded down on the corners, you're going to take some adhesive and put it right down this center edge right here. Okay, so I'm going to grab my liquid glue. You could also use tear and tape if you wanted. I'm going to use liquid glue right this second. No, I'm not. I'm going to change my mind. I can do that. I'm going to grab some tear and tape here. Find the edge of it. Here it is. And I'm going to add some tear and tape. Tear and tape is our strongest adhesive. It's perfect for 3D projects or things that you really don't want them to come apart. Okay, so I've got tear and tape right along that edge right there. You could use liquid glue or Seal Plus too if you wanted. Seal Plus would be a really good one. Tear and tape would be best, I think. Okay, so now I've put glue right along that edge right there. I'm going to fold this down on top of it, and then that's going to create a pocket right there, okay, that won't come across. Now I'm going to fold this up, this bottom edge up, grab my bone folder, get a really good score on that. Now, something I want us to do is, here's a pocket, right? You can see this. You have a pocket right here. I want us to cut down this right edge along the score line just about 1 inch, okay? There you go. If it's 1 1/8 or 1 1/4, that's fine. All we're going to do is kind of take this front flap, and it's going to just add some interest, and we're just going to create another little corner fold right like that, okay? Another little origami fold right like that. Okay, so then we have a pocket here, we have a pocket here, and we have a pocket up here. Okay, isn't that fun? So now I'm going to grab my tear and tape, and I'm going to add tear and tape just to the very edges here of these pockets. I'm going to add one right there. Okay. Add a little bit on this other side too. You don't want to put it in the center part because you want that to be a pocket, okay? Here we go. I need a little more tear and tape. I cut that a little short. Just right on that very edge, okay? There we go. So let's grab our scissors. There we go. Pull off that topping on our tear and tape. And the easiest way I've found to do it is to just take my scissors underneath it and pull it up. There we go. Okay. Now I can just fold this over, run my bone folder and burnish it a little bit. There we go. Now to hold these flaps down, you can use whatever you want. You can use a little liquid glue, tear and tape, glue dots, but I'm going to put a little liquid glue right here and just hold those flaps down. Is this a fun project or what? I saw this on, I think YouTube or something. I thought that would be perfect for this class because it's such a fun little pocket fold. All right. Now, before we go on and before I forget, the next thing I'm going to do is take my ribbon and wrap it around this bottom panel right here and add, I have just enough ribbon. Got lucky on that. And I'm just going to tie a bow here on this right side right here. So you guys know how I tie my bows. Always do the right over the left and then form a kind of a V like that. And then I'm going to take the top and put it under, pull it into two perpendicular lines, loop up from the bottom, around the top, and in the hole. There we go. Gives you a perfect little bow right there. Okay, there we go. Now we're just going to do some decorating. This is super fast and easy. So I cut one of these ovals, but again, you can use whatever ephemera you wanted to use. I need to move my ribbon over just a little bit there. Okay, right like that. So this is going to go right here on the front of my pocket, and I'm going to do it all flat. So I'm going to grab my, I don't know why I'm so Seal Plush challenged today, but I'm going to grab liquid glue, and it's going to go right there just to add a little gold bling underneath my flowers. Okay, then I cut a white oval, and this is the one that had the frame around it. There are two white ovals in this set. There's one that kind of has a frame around it and one that just straight cuts. I used the inside of this framed piece right here. Okay, and on this, up here in this corner right here, this is a perfect little gift for, I think I need my old olive. There we go. A coworker, a friend, somebody who did something nice to you. You guys, you could put gift cards in these pockets, right? All pictures, all kinds of things that you can thank somebody for helping you out, right? Just to be nice to someone, right? Thank you. I'm looking for my so very much. Here it is, right here. Thanks so very much is what I want to say. There we go. Craft alongs are always a little bit longer because we've got lots of fun and very detailed, right, projects for you to make. All right, so I've cut some flowers here. I've cut 2 large blooms out of fresh freesia. I cut a bloom out of misty moonlight, and I cut a bloom out of pool party. I've cut a bunch of centers. And some leaves here. Okay. So my centers, I cut some large ones and small ones out of Darling Duckling and some leaves out of Old Olive. Okay. So my larger fresh freesia blooms are going to have the larger centers. Okay. So I'm going to add just some liquid glue to the center of each of those. There we go. My Misty Moonlight and Pool Party are going to have the smaller center. So I have 2 large and 2 small. There's Jim coming home to get his banana bread. So funny. All right, and then I've cut a bunch of leaves out of Old Olive here. So on this oval, I popped all my flowers up first. So I grabbed my dimensionals and added some dimensionals to the back side of each of these flowers. And then also, oh, I forgot to put my center on my Pool Party one, but we can do that here in just a second. There we go. Looks like Rory's going to come for a visit. Maybe she won't be too much of a disturbance here. Okay, so my big flower that's fresh freesia with the large darling duckling center is going to go kind of right here, left side. Then my Pool Party is going to go below that, right here. And then my Misty Moonlight is going to kind of sneak in, kind of between these two, right like that. Okay. And then again, I just happen to have a piece of Old Olive that already had adhesive paper on the back. So I have adhesive paper on mine, but you can use just liquid glue or seal or whatever on the back of your leaves. And I'm just going to tuck my leaves in where I want them every once in a while here. So this one's going to go right here. Get another one here. I'm going to tuck right up here next to this bloom. And then one more. That is going to tuck right there. Okay, thanks so very much. Now this panel is going to get popped up right here on top of that ephemera. So you're just going to have a little bit of gold peeking out of either side here. Okay, so I'm going to add, gosh, thanks you guys who've stuck with me through this adventure today, this craft along. And like I said, craft alongs are always a little bit longer, but you can fast forward to the next card, right? Once it's on replay. If you're crafting along with me, you can start and stop it. You can put me on fast mode if you want. I will not get my feelings hurt. The only thing I'm going to warn you here is that you don't want dimensionals on the back of this that will cover this edge right here, because you want to make sure you have a pocket right there. Okay, so I just put my dimensionals down the center of my oval right here. There you go. I'm going to add my gems on in just a second, and then I grabbed another ephemera label. I'm using the hexagon. You can use whatever one you want, whatever size you want, but this is going to get popped up right here in this upper right hand corner. And imagine if you're making these for people that you work with or whatever, you can just stuff it. You can stuff this pocket envelope with whatever you want to put in it. You could put beef jerky in it if you wanted to make one for a man. I don't know why I said that. Women like beef jerky. Why am I so sexist? I don't know. I tend to say stupid things like that. But, you know, just things they love. You could just stick them. Lip liner, right? Lipstick, gift cards, whatever you want. It's it's all about making them feel special, right? Okay, so here we go, and I'm going to add one more leaf here to this top edge, and it's going to go right here like this. Cute. And then I'm going to add some gems. How does that sound? So I will be back this afternoon, probably about 2 o'clock, to do my casing the catalog card for the week. I'm going to add another little one over here just because I want to. There we go. So I'll be back about 2. Our casing the catalog card is super simple today. They're very cute. And we're using the Boho Vibes paper, which is one of my favorite new DSP packs, and a really simple new bundle set. So there we go. So there's our pocket envelope. And now, like I said, you can stuff it, right? You can put this one, I'm putting a little, I know it covers it, but they'll be in awe when they see that. Face mask, I'm going to put my face mask in up here. Let's do this. All right. Got my face mask there. I got some gum. And I want to show you guys how fun it is that you could put these cards in the top part of this envelope and give them the cards as a gift as well. It's really a lot of room in here with a couple of envelopes with it. Look how stuffed that is. Isn't that fun? Just so much that you can put inside this. And what an awesome gift to give to somebody, right? And super simple how easy this was to fold and put together. So I hope you guys love the craft along. Now, you can get your own kit of this with any $50 order in my online store this week. That's how this always works. Now, you don't get all the extras. You don't get the full pack of embellishments. You don't get the ribbon. You do get the DSP that I cut for you, but you don't get all the extras. All the extras come from the people who order the craft along ahead of time. That is one of their perks, okay? So again, just as a reminder, our next craft along is going to be using the Notes and Totes bundle, super cute, half a pack of the bright 6x6, a full pack of the matte neutral dots, and a full pack of the Essentials Baker's Twine. There's 5 rolls of Baker's Twine in that. So think about joining with me for next month's craft along. It'll be the last Monday in June. Okay, so God bless. Thanks for sticking with me. This took about an hour and a half, which is about what we planned. And I hope that you love all of these cards. Look how beautiful these are. They're just stunningly fun and gorgeous, and I just walked you through how to make all of them. Maybe I should put this on my hands again. There you go. How fun are those? And I love you guys. Come back and join me this afternoon for my casing through the catalog card, and I hope you loved this month's craft along too, and try some of these at home. So God bless. We'll see you later this afternoon. Bye-bye.